So you want to be a storyboard artist, or maybe you're not sure and want to learn about what it is, how it works, and how to get started. Hi, my name is Alan Huynh. I am a story artist in the animation industry, and this is my beginner's guide to storyboarding. Storyboarding is incredibly specialized and an extremely demanding craft. But I'm not here to intimidate you. I'm here to help you because I think the world right now needs more compassionate storytellers, not less. In this guide, I'll be going over some key pillars to storyboarding and give you a small assignment to try out that I think is both fun and useful for you to get the ball rolling. We've got lots to cover, so let's dive in. The industry has changed a lot in just the last few decades, so what is and isn't storyboarding can be a bit confusing nowadays. Let's get down to brass tacks. Storyboarding is taking a story and visualizing it into the cinematic realm. We take the scripts, the pitches, the early makings of a story, and draw out all the shots, the staging, the scenes. We create the framework for what will be the finished film. Very quickly, I'll sometimes refer to storyboards and animatics, though the two can sometimes be phrased together. While there is a lot of crossover, there definitely is a distinction to be made. Storyboards are the actual shots that we create, and animatics are essentially the next step up, where these boards are edited together on a timeline and may even be timed out with music and dialogue. There's a bit of an ethical debate on this topic, but how far is too far? I'll save that for another video and another day. This early stage in development, it's where a lot of iteration and changes can and will happen. Certain emotional moments in a script, it might read really well, but may not land as effectively when we translate it to the big screen. There may even be big plot issues that we don't realize until it's been embodied and stress tested in storyboards and animatics. There is a little old film by Danny Boyle from way back in the day called 28 Days Later. In the bonus features, they pitch what could have been a completely different direction for the film.
We wondered what would happen to the story if we didn't have the soldiers at all, and that the film moved in a very different way.
The thing that fascinates me the most about this was how efficient they were at play testing this entirely different version of the movie through storyboards and animatics. They simulated this entirely different path and recognized a major flaw in the story with that version, so it ultimately never came to fruition. I always appreciated this bonus feature because it taught me a huge lesson. Storyboarding is the stage when mistakes are cheap. This is where all the trial and error needs to happen. In my opinion, all of that problem solving, that's my favorite part of the job. What that means for you though, is taking a different approach to drawing than what you might be used to. The way we draw storyboards is entirely shaped around iteration. Staying loose and fast with our sketch while still being descriptive and clear enough to register what it is we are framing, that's the way we need to be drawing for storyboards. Loose and clear. This isn't too different from learning traditional foundation drawing, but there is a strong emphasis on gesture, but not just people. Buildings, cars, dogs. I want you to build your mental library of how everyday things look. Don't worry about making art pieces worth posting on social media. Sketch from life for the sake of studying and practicing the craft of capturing whatever it is in front of you. Keep them small so you can draw more things in less time. Remember, we're building our pencil mileage here. The more you do this, the more you will develop a visual shorthand. When you need to sketch a car, you'll think less about drawing the doors and the windows, and instead, you'll start to lay in the shape language and silhouette of the car. Additionally, I also have a video about studying film screenshots and developing your eye for graphical simplicity. I'll link the video here because I recommend you checking it out too. There's a lot of books and resources that you can use to study how other artists draw for storyboarding, but there is one book that I want to start you off with. Framed Ink by Marcos Mateo is without a doubt the art book that had the largest impact on the way I draw. Not only is his work absolutely gorgeous and dynamic, it's also a wonderful example of efficiency. The way he blends shadow shapes into the drawings is both artistically bold and also a tool for visual clarity. Marcos also includes these cool tiny shape illustrations underneath some of his compositions, and it provides an insight into how he forms compositional flow and contrast. Storyboards conventionally look loose and sketchy because they have to be. The chances are high that you'll need to toss them out and try again. In fact, it's not uncommon to redo scenes half a dozen times or more while on the job. This is the hard truth. Our drawings are really only a means to an end. I know that kind of sounds harsh, but our storyboards, no matter how beautiful they might be, they're just vessels to get our visual ideas across. They're never gonna make it to the big screen. And that's okay, because what lives on are the compositions, the ideas, and the framework that we build. That's what the audiences will see. Equally, if not more important as learning to draw, it's to study cinema. Remember, storyboarding is its own type of problem solving, and by watching great films and TV shows, you are learning how other storytellers solve their story problems. We're not trying to copy their work, we're letting it inspire us so that we can better come to our own story solutions. Definitely watch all the classics that everyone loves, but also make sure you challenge yourself with challenging movies too. Seek out the weird cult classics and the more experimental films. You'll be surprised at how much you take away from those kinds of experiences and those kinds of stories. And it's all gonna serve in refining your sense of taste. Now, studying and deconstructing films is kind of a skill on its own too. It's not a bad idea to get some help from others. Every Frame a Painting is a YouTube channel that I cannot recommend enough. In my opinion, it's the gold standard of internet cinema deconstructions. My favorite video is the one on ensemble staging, but all of them are helpful for you to start building your mental cinematic framework. So far, I've covered drawing for storyboarding and why it's important to watch and study films. This next piece of advice, it's a lot more broad and it's gonna be a lot more personal. I believe that being an effective storyteller is to be really good at tapping into our own sense of childlike wonder. I remember working on a cinematic trailer for Sky, Children of the Light. It was a collaborative piece between Orchid Studio and That Game Company, and it was to announce that the game was coming to the Nintendo Switch. In that cinematic trailer, there is a young child being transported to some faraway land that they've never been to. I was storyboarding that scene, but was having trouble visualizing a compelling way to structure and pose out this beat. Eventually, I put the script down. I sat on my couch, I closed my eyes, and I tried to imagine myself as this child living through this moment. I made myself small and vulnerable and nervous. But then I look up and I see a giant family of manta creatures flying overhead, and I could feel that sense of excitement and joy. And without even thinking, I instinctually reached out to try to touch them. That's when the scene clicked for me. That's what I storyboarded, and that's what made it into the final trailer. That small detail is what grounded the entire scene for me, and I discovered it naturally because I know what it's like to be a small child. Remembering how something smells or tastes or how something made us feel. It's all super helpful when trying to problem solve a story problem. 9 times out of 10, finding the answer is about empathizing and imagining yourself into the story. Our lived human experiences is our greatest resource. I want to start you off on a very simple first assignment, one that's going to encapsulate the principles of visual storytelling without bogging you down by having you board a full-on sequence right away. Instead, I'm going to have you board just 3 panels. With those 3, I want you to convey a very simple and clear idea and leverage tone and mood to reinforce that idea. The industry standard software that I use is called Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, but to be honest, you're not going to need it this early on your journey. You can use some loose blank paper, note cards, or my favorite, sticky notes. And then grab some pens and you're good. Maybe some light gray markers if you want to get fancy. This assignment is not meant to cover everything you need to know to be a pro story artist. It's meant to give you a taste of what it takes to be a visual storyteller. There we go. Okay, so I have my 3 panels right here that I'm going to show you. The goal here is to pick a moment to demonstrate what a character is thinking and feeling. And the goal is to do that non-verbally. Only visual tools. Light and shadow and composition, how you use the camera, how you pose a character, and in what order do you reveal that information. All of that is going to influence the impact that you can have on your 3-panel assignment. How about I give you a demonstration on how I pitch storyboards? Exterior, night. We cut to a detail shot using a telephoto lens as we peer into a vibrant and warm space through the window where we see a family having a great time. We then cut to a wider angle across the street where a truck is parked in the foreground and a shadowy figure sits inside, looming and watching through that same window. We then cut around the truck and we see this person sitting and watching menacingly while entirely cast in shadow, so we can't make out their exact details. We don't know exactly what their intentions are, but we get a sense that they don't mean well towards this family and that this family could be in danger. Just from these 3 panels, we've built a dynamic and we've built a character and we have a sense of where this story is heading. This assignment is meant to encourage you to be a storyteller because drawing is just one of the skills that we need as story artists. Communication and pitching are equally as important and can sometimes be more efficient at getting our visual ideas across. Once you have your 3 panels, feel free to try and experiment with the order of operation or switch out panels and try different shots. Don't worry about trying to build a character arc or some larger thematic story. We're just trying to get you used to using visual cinematic tools. And don't forget, iteration is a key aspect of storyboarding, so iterate, iterate, and iterate again. Come here, buddy. Oh. My goal with this video isn't to overwhelm you, it's to give you bite-sized amounts to chew on and start your journey. Speaking of bite-sized, this beginner's guide is pretty bare bones. There's a lot that isn't covered here. So I'm also planning an advanced guide to storyboarding in the near future. There's basically an infinite amount that we can explore in storyboarding because it's analogous to studying the art of filmmaking. There's a lot of layers to this craft, and no matter how far I get into it, there's always more to learn and grow from. By making these videos, I hope to share as much of that as I can to help you learn as well. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful story journey.